That is how you do a PLE. Talk about a crazy way to cap off this wild week of pro wrestling. My name is Sancho West, and welcome to Sancho West Wrestling, where I talk about all things I love about wrestling. If you want more of that, be sure to subscribe. In this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about WWE Evolution 2025, and I am just floored. It was a start to finish and an awesome PLE, and it was interesting because the more and more I thought about it and during the watch party as matches kept coming on banger after banger, it didn't really feel like it was like, oh, this is women's wrestling, right? It didn't feel that way. It just felt like a pro wrestling PLE, you know what I mean? It was just solid quality wrestling that they just happened to be all women. But I still understand this is still monumental. And if the success of this PLE, if it didn't do crazy numbers, if it didn't sell a lot of tickets, the quality of the pro wrestling requires an annual PLE. This needs to happen more and more. This was a great vehicle to showcase the talent and how deep the WWE roster is. Now, not everything on that happened in the PLE was a 10 out of 10, but still high quality. And I absolutely love this, and I know how monumental this is for women's wrestling. This could be that thing where if the WWE put their their foot down and said, hey, we're gonna do annual WWE's wrestling. We believe in our women's division, and they deserve to have all this stuff. That's going to be awesome, and I think that's going to be an ultimate win. We cannot go another 7 years without another women's PLE. This is great wrestling, and if you missed out on this PLE, I highly recommend it. Let's go ahead and talk about the card itself. And the opening match was really great, set the tone. And I shout out to the people of Atlanta, Georgia for showing up for these superstars. I think the kind of hype from this match and the WWE putting this match first with the two of the four legendary women's four horsemen, putting them into this match kind of set the stage for the rest of the night, and the crowd really took the baton and really made everything awesome. And after this match, I knew this was going to be a special night. But in this first match, we had Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria in a triple threat for the Women's Intercontinental Champion. Now, first and foremost, the IC Women's title was in a weird state for a long time. You had Lyra holding it down after beating Dakota in the tournament, and then you had Lyra and Dakota going back and forth, and then Lyra kind of just hung out for a while, and they kind of started doing something with Bayley, and then they, all of a sudden, we did not know where we're going to go. Mania gave it a little bit of a life after the Raw after Mania where Becky and all that. Once Becky had the belt, and now that we're in the throes of it, we predicted at the Wrestling School was that this was not going to be a match where Bayley or Lyra would win. This would have to be a match where Becky wins, because for Becky to continue on going to SummerSlam with the IC title, that makes much more sense if Lyra and Bayley were kind of going at it. But this match was a little bit more complicated than that. Yes, we got the moments where Lyra and Bayley were kind of going at it and Becky was just on the outside, but I love the continuation of the 2025 vibes that the WWE has great multi-superstar matches. Triple threats, fatal four ways, they have just figured out the formula, and it really came true here at Evolution. I absolutely love this match, and I like the way the ending happened. It felt one of my favorite things about triple threat matches is when they do callbacks to previous singles matches throughout the entire feud, and this had plenty of those opportunities where the pinning combinations of Bayley and Lyra, and the same thing with Becky. It's like, oh, this person beat this person with that move that one time, now it doesn't work, and vice versa. And I love how it just kept building and escalating, and I love the finish of the heel weasel Becky Lynch sliding in and getting that pin right after Bayley hit the rose plant on Lyra Valkyria, and that was a great match. Great match and a great right decision to have Becky Lynch win. Maybe she goes on to SummerSlam and face somebody else. I would love to see a new face in the feud. Let Bayley and Lyra continue on their feud at SummerSlam. Again, SummerSlam is 2 nights. And one of the things I wanted to point out is I haven't gone in great lengths to talk about Seth Rollins' injury. I did talk about it in the Saturday Night's Main Event review in the previous video here. But with Seth Rollins being out, I know a lot of people are looking around like, what are they going to do? Brother, the women's roster is stacked. Just put the women in the forefront. Feature more of the mid-card of the women, and you are going to be just A-okay. In the next match, we have Jacy Jayne with Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix. I'm sorry, it's Fatal Attraction. I don't know what day was going on, but I don't watch a lot of NXT. And of course, they're going against Jordynne Grace for the NXT Women's Championship. Tuesday nights, as a father of two with a wife, hard for me to sneak away when I already watch Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. But this was my first introduction to Jayne, and I really got this vibe of HBK, especially with her ring gear. And going into this match, I predicted like Jordynne Grace would win because of the TNA match that they have down in the lane with Marsha Slamovich. Or I'm just all over the place here. With the TNA Knockouts Championship, I thought they were going to redo it again because Jordynne Grace and Marsha always have great matches down in TNA. I mean, if you looked at Jordynne Grace's interview with Chris Van Vliet, she says that's one of her favorite matches and favorite opponents. And I thought, hey, they'll run it back again in TNA and NXT. One of the most interesting things, like the fallout of this match, is I thought Jordynne Grace would have the opportunity to get the win so she could move on to the main roster quickly, because right now she's kind of stalling out in the NXT. I thought they would put the belt on her, let her have a little bit of a moment, and then push her to the main roster. But instead, we don't get that, because during the match, and once again, I enjoyed Jayne and the presentation and the aura that I got from Jayne, even though this did feel like an NXT match on a main event PLE. I was like, ooh, I like this Jayne character, and I like the faction that she's in, and I like the heel vibes from her. But the thing that the most surprising thing, of course, is Blake Monroe, aka Mariah May, turning on Jordynne Grace, taking the belt away, and hitting Jordynne Grace. And you all think she's on the same side, but she's not. And she basically gives the win to Jayne. This match was a pretty solid match. Didn't really surprise me except the heel turn from Blake Monroe. It's interesting that the WWE immediately wants to make her a heel right away, considering she's coming off the best heel run in WWE and I would say in pro wrestling history with the ladies at AEW alongside the timeless Toni Storm. So Mariah May is now going to be a heel, aka Blake Monroe is going to be a heel. And Jordynne Grace and Mariah May, that would be an interesting match. In the next match is the Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Tag Team Championship. You had the Judgment Day, you had Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, Sol Ruca and Zarya, and the Kabuki Warriors. This was one of those matches that I knew would be a sleeper banger match, and it was, and it delivered. And so far already, WWE's Evolution's PLE opened up 3 for 3, and this match was great. I love it's interesting that one of the criticisms of this entire PLE was talking about that there wasn't buildup. There wasn't those big, strong storytelling buildup. But I think the WWE still did some solid pieces so that it could flourish here. Like they planted enough seeds where we can get some moments here at the PLE, and this Fatal 4-Way was one of those examples. And even though the Kabuki Warriors were added late, it was very awesome to see their charm come through with Asuka and Kairi Sane. It's really awesome to see how Sol Ruca had her debut match in terms of main event at SmackDown on the main roster, and there she was, and they delivered, and they had some great moments with Zarya as well. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, this whole thing's like we're not friends, we're just, happenstance to be and beneficiaries of their presence. I like that. It was really shocking. And this one, my takeaway is that Charlotte Flair got a huge pop. Now, let's not run too far with it. I mean, Charlotte is in Flair country, but still, the ability for the WWE to turn something that was so sour with Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, where the entire IWC and the crowd did not like Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair releases a Players Tribune article talking about she's going through a lot and how that shoot promo with Tiffany Stratton kind of rattled her real legitly in Chicago. We go from that moment to all of a sudden that Charlotte Flair is getting huge pops during her hot tag. Now, the match itself had some great moments as well. Some standout moments I think about Sol Ruca actually hitting a soul snatcher on Charlotte Flair is wild to me. I really did enjoy Charlotte Flair bumping for everybody in this match. The crazy finish that happened, and then at the end of the day, it is Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez standing tall. I mean, Raquel just looked amazing. It was interesting as well as there was a interview with Kevin Nash where he kind of criticized Big Mommy Cool and saying she needs to work bigger, and she took that criticism and she says, I will work big, and I feel like she looked differently here. She worked strong, and I'm enjoying the Raquel Rodriguez run lately, especially with Roxanne. And for those people like, so-and-so else should have won, this should have been Judgment Day. Once again, Judgment Day has to appear very, very strong, that they're doing a lot better without Liv Morgan, so that when Liv Morgan does return from her injury, she's like, oh my God, what happened? Am I worth being here at the Judgment Day? Was I the anchor holding everybody down? So that's something they're going for, but I enjoyed this match, and this match was a banger. Now, they kind of like this moment here with Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus for the Women's Championship here. Now, this one definitely did not have any kind of build. This was all based on names. At the end of the day, the biggest takeaway is Tiffany Stratton defeats Trish Stratus clean. And that's one of my own big plus signs for this PLE is there were a lot of clean finishes. more so than most PLEs, especially in the modern day Triple H era, which I made in a previous video. But this one was pretty solid. It was pretty clean. Very stiff, very stiff. Tiffany Stratton works very stiff sometimes, and this one shocked me that she was working very stiff against Trish Stratus. It was nasty, the amount of like, just even the finish, the prettiest moonsault landed right on Trish Stratus' face, and that's wild to see a veteran, a legendary, a Hall of Famer take these kind of bumps. But at the end of the day, this is a notch on Tiffany Stratton's belt. It does add legacy to have a clean victory over Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus was kind of teasing a retirement, and I'm hoping she doesn't retire because I feel like there's a lot of gas in that tank, and she could work with a lot of young talent. But it was at this moment I was like, Naomi's could cash in at some point. And it was always teased that she was going to go after Tiffany Stratton. And I remember last year I talked about, Tiffany Stratton has been teasing that she's going to cash in Nia Jax. So why does she instantly turn it around and cash on the other title? Put a pin in that. In your next match, you get Jade, Cargill, and Naomi in a no-holds-barred match with special guest referee Bianca Belair. This was a car crash. This was really exciting to see the ladies go at it. There was a cool spots with a lot of gimmicks in terms of like special effects and things like that. Like literally the missile drop kick into Naomi, onto Jade Cargill, onto the commentary table with the little sparks was kind of cool. The only thing is I didn't feel that Jade was not in danger at any time in this match. There were a couple of moments where Naomi was running it, but I feel like Jade was in total control. What they did was cool. I mean, anytime you see women's wrestling that's no holds bar, I thought they did it as much as you needed to do. Seeing the Jade effect, the avalanche onto the table was nasty. There was a couple of bumps where Jade took one on the outside to the Slim Jim table, but kendo sticks and things of that sort. I've seen a lot. I think the Raquel and Rhea Ripley match was a little bit better when it comes to the no holds barred aspect, no DQ, but it was still very important moment into like a very important set piece or story beat for Jade, Naomi, and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair just played it straight. She didn't kind of any shenanigans, but I do like the emotion attachment that she had, which was always checking on Jade, checking on Naomi. That was a good wrinkle to the match that kind of added that nice flavor. And then on top of that, when Jade wins and Bianca has to hold her hand, raise her hand, there's still that emotion that she just went through trauma, seeing her both friends are like, once everybody, the big three, all friends now having these issues going back and forth. I thought it was a very cool match. In the Battle Royale, the Evolution Battle Royale with the 20 women, this was the stipulation as the World Championship match at Clash in Paris. I don't know about this match. This felt, as someone that's reviewed the Royal Rumbles for the Patreon Wrestling School Patreon, I've reviewed all the Royal Rumbles, both men's and women's. It fell into a lot of the tropes. Nia Jax being the one that getting rid of some of the favorites like Taxium, that was an awful moment. And that's the problem with these Battle Royales and Royal Rumbles is your heels are going to get rid of the crowd favorites, and a lot of them were dumped pretty early. This match did kind of throttle down the PLE just a hair. It was a very, very a predictable type of finish. It's definitely with Stephanie Vaquero in there. I wish the WWE produced it a little bit better where you would have that doubt. I think Nikki Bella being involved again in the finals would have mattered a little bit, and being in that top 1v1 with Stephanie Vaquero would have had that moment of, ooh, are they going to put the rocket on Nikki Bella on the return? That would have added some doubt. But instead, they went with Lash Legend, which I think was fine. And Lash Legend adds that big wrestler, the big presence type of vibe, and that was supposed to be a thing. But I've seen this before with Rock and Big Show, and multiple times with Nia as well, where they're in the finals. You think like, oh no, they're not going to win because this person's just bigger presence. I think Lash Legend just doesn't quite nail that. They tried to kind of add that to her with her towering over Zelina Vega and throwing her off with that gorilla press was kind of nasty. Like, you could see that they had bones to it, but this is to me where it felt like a little bit of that moments where the old school ruthless aggression, total diva days where they would just throw the women all into a match. I would have rather preferred a singles match here, a triple threat here. I know there's been a lot of multi-superstar matches, but I think a singles match between Stephanie Vaquero and Julia would have done wonders for both of them. It would have put both of them over, but instead of giving this vehicle, I know they're kind of set tradition here to put Stephanie Vaquero into Clash at the championship match. Fine, At the end of the day, fine. It was still the right choice. It was predictable from the end. I like the idea of doing the devil's kiss on the apron into the elimination. I wish they kind of saved that for a Rumble spot. That would have been really cool for Stephanie if I cared to win the Royal Rumble that way. But they kind of use it here, so we're not going to be able to do it again. Because Stephanie, that would have been a path for her. But it's interesting that for the ladies, they added another path to have a championship match at a PLE. Whereas the Royal Rumble's at Mania, this one's at Clash. So I don't know if they'll do it again, but I still felt that this was definitely a downbeat for the ladies of the PLE. I don't think anyone shined. I don't think anyone looked strong that wasn't NXT except Lash, but it just felt like there were so many opportunities, and because there's so many awesome talent, that there was going to be a lot of people that looked jobbed out. In your main event, you had Iyo Sky versus Rhea Ripley now for the world's title. Now, this was an amazing match before the second part of it. This match was great. This match was make you question why the WWE didn't push Iyo Sky stronger after her win at Mania. You could argue that maybe they had a program with Bianca Belair. Bottom line, Iyo Sky should have been involved more in the ring. Maybe she needed to rest or heal from that awesome Mania. But regardless, Rhea Ripley and Iyo Sky tore the house down. It was really awesome to see them throw everything at the kitchen sink, so to speak, just everything out there. And the crazy part about it was it just felt like it was a heavyweight fight. Haymakers going back and forth. They were working stiff. There was a couple of moments that new wrinkles to the match. The chemistry is off the charts. But then, like, it goes to the traditional way. And I was having a thought in my mind. It's like, bro, if this match just ends clean, that will be a W. It doesn't matter if Iyo wins or Rhea win. And then I had another thought in the back of my mind. It's like, I'd never seen a women's referee bump at an all-women's PLE. Now, they may have happened at Evolution 7 years ago, but I didn't watch that all the way through. And then, lo and behold, the referee, I think it's Jennifer Carr, but Jessica Carr took a bump. And she kind of wrestles as well every now and then in a luchador mask. And she took a nasty missile dropkick from Iyo Sky. And then, boom, I'm like, okay, here we go. Something's going to happen. And what I liked what the WWE did was they took the action to the outside of the ring. And I was like, ooh, this is really cool. Now we're in the arena, and this is like an impromptu false count anywhere match, no holds barred, DQ, that type of vibe. And I love that this felt like Stone Cold and The Rock. This felt like Triple H on that level, right? Those guys back in the Attitude Era where they would go into the crowd and just felt chaotic, and it felt natural. There wasn't like this uber obvious spot where the tables were set up. I know they did an outside splash on top of some boxes. That was cool for Iyo did that, but it just felt so awesome to see the women's work stiff out in the crowd, because they've always said that when you go out in the crowd, you got to work a little bit stiffer, a little bit more snug. And there's some great things that happen out there. Great ring psychology. And then, like, Iyo fires back up, and then they get back into the ring, and you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? And then I love this shot. You should definitely watch it, where you see Iyo hit finally the power bomb going from the Suicida dive out to the outside. Boom, power bomb. And then she gets in the ring and hits over the moonsault, and you're like, oh my God, Io's going to win clean over Rhea, like, quote unquote clean. And then the referee's like getting up, and you see the camera kind of like trailing the referee. I thought that was a really cool thing. It was like a kind of like an action movie where all the action planes of, hey, we're gonna get the plans of the Death Star, and we're gonna do this, and we're inside the Death Star. Like, all of it was coming together, and it was a really cool synchronized moment. And then when Rhea kicked, like, oh my God, Rhea kicked out. And there was a lot of the moments where I think Iyo kick out of the Avalanche Riptide? She kicked out of a lot of things. Like, the false finishes felt really earned. It didn't feel like It didn't feel like Seth Rollins and CM Punk, right? It didn't feel like Seth Rollins and CM Punk just trading finish, kick out, kick out, kick out, kick out. This felt really earned in some aspects. And then when you add a nice false finish, it really feels great. And then both ladies are out, just passed out. By the way, nastiest Razor's Edge I've ever seen done before. Rhea Ripley just literally decimated Iyo Sky. Anyway, I digress. Both ladies are out. Naomi's music hits, and it's happening. The cash-in is happening, and a swerve cash-in, so to speak, because no one expected Naomi to cash in on the Io's title, which we should have expected, because they always got to expect the unexpected with someone that's proceed with caution. And she's been telling everybody to proceed with caution. And there was a little bit of a snafu. You know, she was like, ring the bell, and the bell did ring, so then rang it again. But Naomi comes in, boom, briefcase on Eio Sky, and then she literally spears throws chunks Rhea Ripley into the ring post. Out goes Rhea Ripley, and then Naomi hits her finish on Iyo Sky and pins Iyo Sky for the win. Your new WWE Women's World Championship, three-time championship, Naomi. And I love it. I mean, it's a great way to catapult everything going into that Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair vortex that's been brewing, that storm, pun intended, happening over there. It protects Rhea Ripley. It protects Iyo Sky. You keep Rhea Ripley feeling like babyface because everybody started to turn on her, turn sour on her at the WIC. Everyone was like, oh, why Rhea Ripley's going to get this chance? Iyo Sky continues to look great. She's a great ring worker. Excuse me, a great ring worker, and everybody's excited about that, and she looked like $1 million. And the best part of this entire PLE is the embrace that happened between Rhea Ripley and Iyo Sky, knowing that they tore the house down. Great questions were asked. Is it where the WWE, should they do this again? Absolutely. Is Rhea Ripley a draw? Absolutely. Is Iyo Sky a draw? Absolutely. And those are some good takeaways that you could have for this entire night. And another sneaky thing was that this is a 7-match PLE, and you could have 7 matches. The WWE has been resulting too much in 4 to 5 matches, and I think 7 was a great mix. If I had it my way, I would have replaced the Battle Royale with something else. But understanding that they're trying to set tradition and precedents, that's fine. But let's add another tradition and give us another annual WWE Evolution. Because the ladies did it. The ladies did it. If you want more of these reviews, more wrestling videos, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.